You have another 3 minutes. Another 3 minutes.
I don't think the same with the 7 from careful review. The 7 idea.
Yes, Louise. It's a.
Okay.
So the aim is like they're targeting it, but they're missing.
Okay.
So how do you improve that?
No, is the problem is that domestic problem? Yeah, because all model didn't teach us to
Aim correctly.
aim correctly. All see.
Finished?
Did you finish?
Yes,
Yeah,
I finished.
Luca.
Luca,
Ooh.
very efficient. Very efficient.
I was in
I'll give you another 2 minutes.
Puxou this. Oh.
To encourage.
Maybe, you know, in Mexico sometimes they make like motivation, get the better condition in tomorrow. Get this, or you get a bonus.
Then maybe
Yeah, so
in the
if you
future they will have money and right now maybe temporary solution.
they can rate it because I guess that maybe some options, okay, just slow.
Yeah.
The elevator is small, maybe only the whole people can use the elevator and the other people, they need to use stay, but
1 minute.
What means?
Repeat.
What does less than ideal aim mean?
Less than ideal aim. So it's a funny way of saying that the man is aiming his target, but it's less than ideal, it's less than perfect. So it's probably going on the floor or something like that.
I would suggest
But sometimes
also put in the toilet, you know the game that you have to, maybe something like that, that they just they can laugh and try to do
Sorry?
the time, no?
I didn't get it when you said somehow
Okay, I was thinking about a little sign for the how you say the how is something like the I don't know the
and the winner is
Okay, we'll go over this. Okay. Okay, we'll go over this. So the first one then, so the first one was in the 18th century Prussia, King Frederick the Great wanted his people to adopt the potato as a staple food to prevent famine. But the populace found potatoes unappealing and even refused to grow them. So first of all, what's a staple food? What's the staple food of Ireland? Potatoes. What's the staple food of China?
rice,
What's the staple food of Italy?
pasta,
Etc. Blah, blah. What's the staple food of Mexico?
tortilla.
Tortillas. Okay, they wouldn't be able to survive without tortillas. Okay. So what is your solution to this scenario? What would you do? A cheap marketing solution for this? What would you do? Anyone?
For this, no.
This group here? Okay, this group down here?
We have two choices.
Okay, so what are your two options?
Or create some good recipe with potatoes.
Okay, create good recipes with potatoes.
Or create a good marriage between Prussia and another rich country.
Okay, so you're basically saying find better food. Okay, well, the solution was he declared, so King Frederick the Great declared the potato a royal delicacy and planted a royal field with soldiers around the field of potatoes. So then everyone thought, ooh, they must be very valuable and delicious. So so then the popularity increased after that because people thought, ooh, they're much more valuable than we thought initially. You understand that? It's a pure marketing solution to this problem. Next one then. The cereal brand Shreddies needed a new product to excite consumers, but their cereal squares hadn't changed. Okay? So the Shreddies look like that. Okay? They look like little squares. What's your solution to this problem? You want to increase the sales, but nothing is going to change the product. Well, what would you do?
Change put some flavors, different
No,
flavors.
no.
It's
The
not
food
all-
stuff is not going to change in any way.
Maybe the easy solution is change the size to.
The size will not change. The size will not change.
So change the bag.
The back to side
bag.
or triangle.
It's necessary to do a new study about the bag of this cereal, because when you go to the supermarket and find something different, and something, oh, it looks like good.
Okay. Is there? Yeah, you could possibly do it. Any suggestions in there?
I have
Yes.
maybe you can create a marketing campaign about why you need to eat this, like what it's going to be for better.
Okay, to increase your health or something
Yes.
like that. Well, the solution was not to call them squares, but to call them what?
What is that?
Diamonds. Okay, Shreddies diamonds. And they increased the sales. They increased the sales because they weren't called squares, they were called diamonds.
Like the one before.
Yes, it's a marketing solution. There's nothing has changed in this. Next one then. Conventional logic said an energy drink would, with bad taste, a small can, and a high price would flop. What's flop mean in this case?
It's not so.
Yeah,
Okay,
successful.
To be successful. So the opposite of being successful, so to do very badly. How would you solve the problem? Well, any suggestions here? Now, it has a bad taste. This is a real product. Maybe some of you have drunk this product in the past. Yes.
Once I have had the story about, I think it was a energy drink. It's about Red Bull.
Red Bull.
Yeah.
This is exactly the product.
Okay.
This is exactly the product. So Red Bull turned
Yes,
those apparent weaknesses into strengths by embracing a premium price. So they jacked up the price, unusual flavor, and tiny can as signals of potency and exclusivity. It created a bold, edgy image. Okay, and it was very successful. Have you ever drunk Red Bull?
Yeah.
It's terrible, isn't it? Yeah, it's terrible. But because the can is it seems exclusive. You see, it promotes a lot of events as well. Okay, even Formula One, they have Red Bull. Next one then. Ride-share users, like Uber users, often grew frustrated while waiting for their car, even if wait times were short. What marketing solution did they introduce?
Sharing a car, you can find a new friend.
No. I mean Uber users.
You can create.
Oh, you mean
Yeah.
find a friend with the driver? Okay, I suppose. But do you really want to make friends with the drivers? Okay. Yes.
You can create a system that for each minute that you wait, you can collect a point, and after a good amount of points, you can have some special offers or something.
Oh, but that would be expensive probably for Uber.
I don't think, because you have to collect a lot of points.
Oh, okay. Oh, so you have to collect 10,000 points before you get even a possibility of a free drive or etc. Well, they did something even more simple than that. They just created an app that showed you how many Uber drivers were driving in your direction, and people lost frustration. So, for example, in Japan, or maybe Korea, I can't remember where it was. I think it was Korea actually. When people were waiting at traffic lights, what interesting creative solution did they think of to stop people going very, very fast? Anyone? So to speed out of the traffic. So what they did is put a timer on the traffic lights, so people knew how long they were going to wait. Okay, you understand that? Okay, which would you put it on for, green or red? Which would you put it on for? So waiting for green or waiting for red? Where would you put the timer on? Because China put it on a different one, and it had another effect.
In a red.
Red, this is dangerous.
So no, you put it on for the green. So you're waiting for the green to go. If you put it on for the red, people speed up and try to make the traffic light to get across. It will be more dangerous. So you put it on for the green. So that's what they did. People like to see the time going down. I even have that feeling myself with Lewis. With the Lewis, the tram system and the buses, when they started to put the times, oh, you're 5 minutes away, you're 10 minutes away, you feel more comfortable than when you say, oh, I'm just guessing when it's coming. Okay? Because in the past, I have waited at bus stops for an hour and a half. An hour and a half. Next one then. Tenants in a tall building complained that the single elevator was too slow. The obvious fix, a costly, which means what? Costly? Expensive upgrade or additional lift wasn't immediately feasible, so it wasn't possible. What would you suggest?
Guys, go to the stairs. It's good for
Oh,
your
do you
health.
think people, the tenants in the building would say, oh, thank you, Louise, for that suggestion? Okay? Imagine you're a very old person and you have to get to the top. Or they can say, use the stairs, you lazy old so-and-so.
It is like a challenge where after that there is a prize. for the
You
prize.
like prizes for a lot of your solutions. Okay?
Marketing.
Any ideas? Any other ideas?
With those something similar, a competition between the tenant that use the stair and maybe to choose one tenant of the week that
They did something far simpler.
Depends on the stair of are you living. For example, this building, in this building there are 4 stairs. If you live in the fourth, you can receive 10% of discount.
What is this? I told you, it's too...
10%. And
Okay.
it's a little bit.
A little less discount. No. They did something much simpler. They installed mirrors. They installed mirrors in the lifts.
And I like this.
People, if you look at the amount of lifts around the place that have mirrors. What do you do? What do you do when there's mirrors in the lifts?
In my case.
Yes, you do. You all do it. You look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh, is there some mirror like this? And then maybe like this or whatever, etc. Okay? And that reduced the amount of complaints. Just installing mirrors. Also, it gives more space. Okay? But people like to see themselves in the lift. Okay? Yes, yeah, it's a very, very cheap solution. Next one then. Amsterdam's Schiphol Airport wanted to reduce the mess in the men's restroom. What's a restroom again? Bathroom or toilet. Caused by less than ideal aim. So you can hear the expression less than ideal, less than perfect. It means they could do better. Okay, less than ideal aim. So their target wasn't very good. How? What would you? Sorry, that should be what would you recommend, not how would you recommend. What would you recommend? I think I heard suggestions which is very close to what they actually did.
I create a stupid, target game.
Well, when you say stupid, if it works, it's not stupid, it's very intelligent. So what's the target game?
Like a aim game?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what they did. Only they didn't put in the target, they put a little fly. Okay, just a little fly, and the men, for some stupid reason, decided, yeah, I want to get that fly, and their targets, their targeting increased. Okay, they had much better performance. Maybe we should do that in Castleforbes College. Okay, next one then. The next one. Organ donor sign-up rates were low in many countries when citizens had to opt in. What's opt in mean?
To give a chance to choose. This
To
one
choose
is,
in. Okay, so the opt, what's a word that contains opt?
option.
Option, so this is like a choice. So they had to opt in, leaving life-saving transplants in short supply. How would you fix the problem? I think you might know this. It should be fairly easy to guess. Anyone? No ideas?
I don't understand the question.
So,
Okay.
when most countries will have this option where you have to opt in, so you have to say, I would like to be an organ donor, for example, and here's my name, blah blah blah, etc. My details.
Something like help us, you can be the next.
No, they didn't do that because, and to be honest, yeah, it can happen where that increases the number of organ donors, but they did something a little bit different, and people generally will do this. Any ideas? They asked people to opt out. They assumed, so the government said, okay, everyone is an organ donor. If you don't want to be an organ donor, opt out. It increases the numbers of people who are organ donors. And I think how many of you are organ donors? Yeah?
In Brazil, you put in your ID if you don't
If you don't want
to be an organ donor.
So you're organ donors
in
because
general, yeah, because when you die,
you chose not to be.
the doctor, the hospital ask my family about this.
Okay, yeah, that system seems to work better than opting in. Okay, people don't really put in the effort to opt in, I think. And then the last one, a customer at Sainsbury's supermarket complained that the cheap store brand potato peeler didn't work well. How would you eliminate this problem with no added cost? Yeah, it is. Doesn't really work very well.
It's cheaper.
Change the name of the peeler for
To what?
another vegetable.
Very good.
Yeah.
They called it a carrot peeler. Okay, so carrot peelers don't have to do so much work. It's not going to be as aggressive.
Yeah.
And they make just as much money on the carrot peeler instead of a potato peeler. So people bought carrot peelers for some strange reason. So I told you yesterday that I want you to think creatively. Now, this is creative thinking. You're thinking outside the box. Okay? This woman was thinking financial incentives for absolutely every one of these. Okay? Improve your target, they will pay you more money, etc. Okay, right. The next thing that I would like you to do is look at a text that I've given you. Somewhere here. Did I give you out the text? I don't know. I gave you, oh yes, on the other side of the page. Okay, so there's a text here on the neuroscience of marketing and consumer behavior. I'd like you to read that, and then I want you to answer the two questions at the bottom. Okay? finish, work with your partner. If you don't like your partner, stop it up. Yes, answer the 2 comprehension questions. Answer with your partner.
Okay.
The amount of editing that I have to do for these videos. Right? We will go over the answers. So the first one then, Elena, why are neuroscientific tools?
They're working together.
Yes, very good. So Elena again. So why are neuroscientific tools seen as an improvement over traditional questionnaires in marketing research?
Because neuromarketing, it's important to understand how customers take a decision, if it's automatically or emotionally, and because you can understand also what is the trigger can work with the person. And
Okay, anyone else?
I I think that maybe the question is more related
Related to.
the scientific chain, because with the whole system they have only the information with the consumer choosing a product, after they.
Yes, so
After
it's
some
more
product.
to do with the fact of the time. So when you're making when you're doing a traditional questionnaire, it's after the event, okay? Whereas the neuroscientific tools can be used simultaneously, for example, okay? You can see directly into the brain rather than the person has to go and report what they remember, okay? Next
This
one.
kind of answers for, in this case, is a concrete answer for some questions. For example, because just talk about emotions, about what do you feel when you see this bike? Do you intend to buy it? Yeah, because it's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But when the companies, for example, the research put some tools in your brain, your face, they can do some measures from these
So
emotions.
measurements. Yeah, it can get direct measurements, okay, rather than just reported measurements, okay. And then the last one, then, what two neural systems influence purchasing decisions, and how do their functions differ? Rambo.
The former, there's an impulsive, when you saw something and just buy.
Yeah, so you get rapid reward, okay? So you buy it impulsive. Oh, okay, I want to buy that. Blah blah blah. And the other one?
And later. It's
Forget.
control.
Don't use later. I'll come back to why now in a second. And don't use former either. It's more what?
Reflexive.
Not reflexive. Reflective. So what does that mean?
You see the product, but you think about it. Okay, I really need this product, and I have enough money for this.
Okay, so you take time to deliberate whether this thing should be bought or not. Okay. Now, again, I don't really care so much about the questions. That was just to activate you to answer or to interact with the meaning of the text. But inside the text, I included connectors and conjunctions from the text that I asked you to do yesterday. Remember you took a photo yesterday? Okay, open your phones to the ChatGPT where you have the recording or the pictures from yesterday. Do you have them? Okay, so you should have it in your history. Just at the side. So, Elena, have you got yours? Yeah? Got yours? So in the history from yesterday. Oh no, you weren't here. Okay, so I'll give you now in a second. Vicente, have you got yours?
No.
Luis? Yes. Dr. Victor Casada, you have yours?
If I have the time.
Yes. For some strange reason, I asked Dr. Victor Casada, do you have yours? And Dr. Victor Casada was like this. Okay, you are supposed to reply. Rambo?
No.
Not yet? Okay, well, if you don't, I'll take again. Okay, I'll take again. Okay, now the reason I want you to keep them open is because you will be using, or ChatGPT will be using that information when you do the next activity. You will be researching, and it's much easier if you have the references above. This expression and this expression. Okay? Now if you don't give ChatGPT, or if you don't give ChatGPT the information above, you might say, oh, it's in that box. But that's not the meaning in this context. Okay? So you'll see in some, in that. You will be doing that. You will be doing furthermore and given that. You will be doing the former and the latter, and it's an expression, it's not really the type here. And whereas. You will be doing as such and to put it briefly. You will be doing on top of that, and how do you pronounce that? Albeit. You will be doing namely and thereby, and, watch. You will all be doing those two. Hitherto, and that's it. So you have 4 things to do. If you don't have the text, I will get you the text now in a second. Okay, but I want you to research that again. Okay? Oh, I have to print it, I forgot. Got it? So, fold out that, fold that back. You will be explaining your expressions to the others. So you can use that information to say, okay, now please explain those expressions. Because if you don't do that, then it doesn't have the context. It might give you something different. Okay? Ask for examples. You can use translations as well if you don't really understand it in great detail. I'll give you another 3 minutes. 90 seconds. Vicente, very confident that you are going to do them right? Yes?
Yeah.
Very good. Daphne, finished? Confident? No? Yes, finished? Confident? Fabiola, finished? Helena, finished? Confident? Okay, I'll give you another minute to increase your confidence.
I understand, but I cannot explain without reading.
Oh, that's fine for the moment, okay? Keep it. Enjoy. You can use it for toilet paper if you run out. Clean up the vomit of the kids.
So Monday we see
Monday you will not see me, no. Unless I come round to your house and give you another class. Tragedy, isn't it? Another day. Oh, you seem devastated. Right. Where did Luis say he was going? To have about a 5-hour conversation with Valentina, was it? Right, everyone, up. Up. While I go to assassinate Luis with a bottle of Febreze, I would like you to explain your expressions to the others. Right? Up. Over here. What are we doing? Granny. Okay? Let's move and discuss with your partners. I go and assassinate Luis. Okay? So choose one person first. Okay?
The meaning first is a substance connector used in formal language. The meaning is in addition,
Vicente, you join this one.
You can use this phrase to add more support or illustration to what was just said. An example is the result were not only pricing. Hitherto. Furthermore, they challenge previous research. Or another one is she's an excellent researcher. Furthermore, she's a great student. Like also or and the other one is given that. This one is a conjunction, and the meaning is because considering that or to the fact that you can use this like to introduce explanations. Some example is given that with rain we should postpone the meeting, or given that she had no experience, she is for me it's new. Maybe given that
that was
Like for example, I use more like also.
On top of that, it's very similar to what like the first word, but maybe here, because yes, it's the same to say in addition, moreover, but maybe here the difference is
Albeit. 3 words. Albeit. Okay, pronounce it like the 3 words.
is more informal context. Particularly is you can use for add extra information, positive or
Finish?
negative, but it's more
Switch.
used for negative information. And the other albeit is opposite when you want to introduce a contrast or conception and use in a formal context. Albeit. Okay. When you can introduce section or contrast information but in a formal context.
Yeah.
Okay, and the method is effective. I'll read. Read slow. Okay, you are in formal context with technical context or exception, but this is the first time that I did it. And the other is yes, definitely more negative information in the first one of that, but for positive information to extra information, but in general, more negative.
You did a switch terribly. That is why you were in the wrong group.
Okay, then I can explain.
The other one.
Other
Yes, I have that say.
Okay.
That's said.
It's something like, however, for me, I hear more yeah, you can use to introduce a constructive idea after making a statement. Like, he's usually very punctual. That says he was late. I don't hear this too much.
There's a reason.
It's not very common.
There's a reason.
Another example is a difficult task. That say, I believe we can help.
Okay, switch again. Or switch for the first time. Okay, switch again. Quick.
My words
Mine is Gordon.
This sounds similar to say in summarize. Because I use sometimes some paper, yes.
And more information.
in some, but in some cases,
In one
what the meaning of normally?
that, what do you think that is kind of
Yes, it's like because.
Nexalis.
collocation in a
It's
sentence.
more like when you want to
Yeah.
add extra information. But in general, this extra information is more negative. But you can use for positive information. You can use moreover or another, but this is yes. Another bit is when you want to add a contrast information or an exception.
Yes,
This is very formal.
It's very formal.
So the method is effective. Add it a bit slow. Add it, this is negative. Yes, but yes, but very, very formal. The other one is not so formal because of that. The product is expensive. Because of that is out of fashion. And negative, but you can use yes, product of that. And the difference are very formal and on top of that. No, on top of that, maybe sometimes a colloquial format. Maybe moreover is more formal.
Than.
It's that sorry. It's
More formal than.
It's more formal than.
Okay, stop, including you for 1 second. Go back there for 1 second. Okay, so with these expressions, all of these are formal. In what context are you going to use them and it's going to improve your writing? In what context? Which writings?
Academic context.
IELTS. If you include that kind of language in the IELTS exam, you're going to get a better mark. Okay? Now, some of them are very formal, like that one there is extremely formal. But it's going to demonstrate that you have academic language. Okay? Now, you can, all you have to do is take the page that I gave you. Okay? Right? Sorry, my cough has come back again. I want you, when you are doing this, to do it creatively. So I saw what most of you did. You read down explanations, and I saw your faces were like this. When I asked you, are you 100% confident? You said, not really. Well, if you're not 100% confident, start translating the explanations. Translate the explanation into your language, maybe it'll be easier for you. And I don't know how many of you did this. How many of you generated 10 examples of it? 5 examples. How many else?
3.
3. You need to generate more examples to get the pattern. Okay, come over here for a sec. Okay, so Elena, sit here, or whoever. Vicente, can you go here for a sec? Yeah. Okay. So, in sum. Okay, now really this is bad because I should have another sentence before it or a few sentences before it. What does it mean? In sum. Okay, in sum, and you might say, oh well, it's abbreviated of summary, but it still seems formal. In sum, the pilot study supports our hypothesis. In sum, okay, maybe there's a big long text here, you say, in sum, renewable energy offers both economic and ecological gains. Okay, so it's just in summary, it's probably the easiest one there. Okay, next one. In that, okay. So, what this means is because or in the sense that. So the scheme is radical in that it eliminates tuition fees altogether. Okay? Because it does this. Okay? That's why it's radical. Her argument is persuasive in that it addresses counter evidence directly. Why is it persuasive? Okay? Because it does this. Okay? The two models differ in that one assumes perfect information. Okay? The two models are different because one assumes perfect information. Do you understand that? Okay, now if you still don't understand that, scroll up a bit. Scroll up a bit. This man is supposed to be our computer expert.
You say out.
This is extraordinary stuff. So, can you get all 10 of them there, Vicente,
Yeah.
on the same page? So, yes, very good, fine. Get your phone and translate them. Get your phone and translate them. That is your phone. It's close. Okay, read the translations. Okay, this expression is formal. Okay, I know they're two very simple words, but they're quite formal. Or it is quite formal, this expression. Yes? Do you understand it? Yeah, it's quite easy with the translations. It's not difficult. Okay, next one then. We'll hope that Vicente can get it right this time. Yeah, very good. Furthermore, I think most of you have probably heard of this before. Okay, so I think Victor said that it's less formal than moreover. That's not true.
No.
Okay, no, it depends. Sometimes I can give you a link to a video that goes into the differences between in addition, moreover, furthermore. There is usually a tiny little difference between them in the way they're used, but generally the translation is going to be in addition to. Okay, it's formal. Moreover is formal as well, but they're used slightly different context, but they're very, very similar. Okay, so the report met its deadline. Furthermore, it stayed under budget. Okay, in addition to that, it did this. Now, again, see what happens here? Furthermore is a connector. That means you have to have two sentences. Okay, you cannot put furthermore in the middle of a sentence. Okay, if you do want to do that, you have to put a conjunction as well. So a conjunction combines two ideas in one sentence. The most common conjunction is and. So you'd say, I am Irish and I am a teacher. That's one sentence. If you use in addition, it's a connector. So you're combining two sentences. So you have two sentences. So you say, I am Irish. In addition, I am a teacher. Two sentences. You understand that? Now, if you do want to put a connector into one sentence, combine two ideas, you also have to use a conjunction. So you would have to say something like, I am Irish and in addition, I am a teacher. Okay, so now you have one sentence. Okay, next one. Given that. Okay, given that is a subordinator and it's related to cause and condition. Given that the costs are rising, we should renegotiate the contract. Given that she holds the patent, okay, the rights for the product or whatever, licensing is essential. Because of this. Given that the sample size is small, because of this, results remain tentative. This is the consequence. Do you understand that? Given that Andrew is so boring, the students all fell asleep and wrote terrible things on his feedback form. If I see one mention of a gun on those feedback forms, there will be problems. Okay? Next one then.
It's anonymous.
Okay. It's anonymous, but Seamus has to tell me. And if Seamus tells me that there's a mention of a gun, okay, I'm going to buy 2 guns. Okay? Next one then. So this is very, very common. The former and the pronunciation of that is not later, it's latter. So latter, 2 T's. Remember, if you have... Yes, okay, think about it. If I say L-A-T... Okay, so... M-A-D, how do you pronounce that? Mad. M-A-D-E. Made. So what is happening when you put the E on?
Change the pronunciation of the...
Yeah, it changes the pronunciation of the vowel, makes it longer. So you get made instead of
It is
mad.
strong. Maybe.
Well, no, it's more to do with the vowel sound extending. So you have mad, made. Okay, so it's a bit longer. Okay, so this will happen when you have the E. There are other things that happen when you have double T. This is going to, or double consonants. That's going to make that vowel sound short, latter. It's not going to be like late. Okay, you understand that? Doubling the consonant generally will make the vowel sound before shorter. Okay?
In North America, pronunciation is ladder or something.
Ladder, or whatever. Okay, now that's just their pronunciation of the T. Okay? I could pronounce it ladder as well if I make a glottal stop, but that would seem a bit strange because that's a very informal pronunciation, but this is a formal word. Okay? So the former, the latter. And usually you will use these when you're referring to two things that happened earlier in the text. Okay? The former is the first one, the latter is the second one. So if I said, for example, Mars and Venus appear similar, the former, which one is it?
Mars.
Mars is arid, the latter, Venus, shrouded in clouds, okay, or is shrouded in
It's
clouds.
like the first one is
The first one,
the second one.
That's it, okay? But it makes your English sound more formal, more academic. It raises the register a bit, okay? Next one. Whereas, now this can be used, again, this is a formal word, and you're using it to contrast. So if I said, for example, Rambo is Brazilian, whereas Elena is Italian. You understand that? What's that mean?
What is the comparison?
No, it's a contrast.
Okay.
There has to be a difference.
Okay.
So Elena is a woman, whereas Dr. Victor Casada is a man.
Yeah.
Or a superhero, okay, etc. etc. You understand that? There has to be a difference, okay? And if you go down through these, the north faces drought, whereas the south faces floods. Drought is what, by the way?
Dry, so dry.
Dry period of time, and floods, inundations. Okay, lots of water. Okay, the next one. 7, as such. So again, you're referring back to something that was in the text before, and it means in that capacity or for that reason. She's a minor, that means a young kid. She's a minor, and as such, because of that fact, she cannot sign the contract. The memo is confidential. As such, please encrypt it. Okay, it's important for you to do the encryption of that. The species is invasive. As such, eradication is planned. Okay, because of this fact. So again, it's a very common expression in academic or formal language. These are kinds of expressions that you don't do or you don't use, okay? The more you use them, the more elevated your writing will seem. You do not write like this in a text message, okay? It will make you sound remarkably formal too much, okay?
In a conversation?
Just in academic place. Yeah, or not as much.
I'm just trying to think of which ones I might use in conversation.
Technical conversation.
No, like I mean in
Your
an
work.
informal conversation. Whereas, but even that sounds a bit formal. Yeah, on top of that, I might use that, on top of that, okay? Maybe that said, okay? The rest sound ridiculously formal. Now, to be honest, I do speak reasonably formal in some contexts, or reasonably formally, and it depends on the person. But in general, this kind of speech, the register is formal. Okay, next. Put it briefly. You might get this in the conversation as well. Okay, to put it briefly. What's brief mean again?
Summarize.
Brief,
Short?
short. Okay, so briefly means short and quick. Okay, so to put it briefly, the trial failed. So if you want to say everything about what you said before, to put it briefly, it was a disaster. Okay, so for example, if you wanted to write feedback forms about me, you say, Andrew is terrible at grammar, he's terrible at listening practice, he's terrible at this, he's terrible at this. To put it briefly, he's rubbish. Okay, you understand that? Instead of all of these comments, just put it down there again. To put it briefly, rubbish. Okay?
It's possible just put this briefly, or not?
No, certainly not in an academic context or a formal context. You want to use the full expression, okay? And to put means to express in this case, okay? It's not like put like this. Next one. On top of that, okay? So this is now they say informal addition, but that's not true, okay? So sometimes it can be used in formal context. Okay, the printer jammed, and on top of that, we ran out of paper. It can be used in formal contexts, okay? So it possibly can be used in informal context as well, more likely in formal context. The exam was hard. On top of that, the room was freezing, okay? So in addition to this, this was also true. Funding was cut, so they removed all the funding for whatever program. On top of that, the deadlines tightened, so they became closer and closer. Okay.
In addition, but in a negative form, or also?
No, it can be used. Well, I would say usually it is used in a context where there's something bad, and then there's an extra bit of badness on top of that. It is quite common. Now, the reason that it's good to generate so many examples is not only do you see the grammar, but you see the context, the meaning context in which they're used. And if you look at these, you're correct. Most of them are negative here, and then you're just adding to the negativity in the second part. Okay? Now, maybe you could generate positive examples with on top of that, but it's more common. It's a habit, I would say, to use more negative examples. Okay? This is what, if I remember when I showed you what the corpus was, where you generate lots of there's lots of examples and you pick out what are the most important words, etc. ChatGPT to some extent is like a corpus. So you see the way people sort of use this naturally. Okay? It's the closest thing you'll get to a native speaker. Okay, the next one then. The pronunciation, and you have to be careful with this. Some native speakers make a mistake with the pronunciation and say things like all bite, but the word comes from three words: all, A-L-L, be, it. So it's really albeit. Okay, albeit. Okay, you say it albeit, but quickly, albeit. Okay, so the results are promising, albeit preliminary. So it's like although. Okay, it's a formal version of although. It is formal, okay, in this. Attendance in the class improved, albeit not that much, okay, modestly, okay, a little bit, okay. She agreed, albeit under protest, okay. So Andrew agreed to let you go early, albeit it was under protest, okay. So maybe, for example, Rambo was beating me up and said, okay, it's under protest. Next, I think maybe, yeah, okay. This word, this is common, very, very common in formal text, and it means you're specifying something. So 3 factors are key, namely, and now you list the factors. One planet, which planet? Namely, this one, Mars. The culprit is a virus. What virus? This. So you have to say, blah, 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 witness, metal, 2 items, solution, and then you use this word and say what it is. Okay? It is very, very common. So it's really like, give me the name of this thing. Namely. Okay? The motion, I'll give you a better one. I need one file. What file? Name it. Namely the final draft. Okay? You understand that? It's very, very common. You really should learn that one. Next one. This one is very formal. If you see words like beginning with there at the start, or where, like whereby or wherein or therein or thereby, etc., those kind of words, it's usually very formal. Okay? Usually very formal. That means, by that means, as a result of this, she deleted the logs, thereby erasing evidence. By doing this, she did this. The firm cut prices, thereby boosting sales. By doing this, they did this. He stretched daily, and because he did this, this happened. He prevented injury. Okay? Because of this, this. Because of this, this. It's very formal, but it's, again, you need to be exposed to it if you want to go to university or you want to read more academic or formal articles. Next. The pronunciation is what? Hitherto. 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 Hither. Now, usually I wouldn't insist on you pronouncing like this, but because it's formal, you usually have to pronounce it in the standard pronunciation, in the formal way. So you couldn't really say hither or hitter. You'd have to say hither, hitherto, hitherto. Okay. Again, usually you don't have to say it. You just have to write it and read it. Okay. So again, it means up to this point or until now, and again, it's formal. The region had been peaceful hitherto. So you have to have another sentence before it. Okay, so you'd say, oh, I'll give you an example of that. Can you think of it? Can you think of an example of a place that was relatively peaceful until a particular moment suddenly changed? Ukraine. Okay. Well, actually, that's a bad example because it wasn't really that peaceful. Is there an example?
Center.
Yeah, okay. So a few years ago, I think it was a few years ago now, or was it last year? No, I think it was 2 years ago. There were riots in Dublin about, there was one person attacked little kids or something. And then that night, there were protests and riots on the streets, O'Connell Street. A bus was on fire. The people broke the windows of the shops and places on O'Connell Street and Henry Street, and they were complaining about, oh, that was an immigrant, blah, blah, blah. Hitherto, that, maybe if you want to call it that racism was a little bit more silent in Ireland, up until that point. That seemed to be a moment when people started to become a bit more confident about, okay, get the immigrants out. You understand that? So this is hitherto, up to that point. Okay. Next. Apologies for that terrible example. Okay. And then the last one. By the way, I was in a restaurant celebrating. What was I doing? I think it was my birthday. It was in an Italian place. It was called Amore. Apologies to the restaurant. The people are lovely, but it was the single worst pizza I have ever had in my life. When I went like this, the water drained. Water, yes. I think it was chopped tomatoes, and they just poured the whole can over the top. It was terrible. And even worse, the person, there were two people there with me. The other person, one of them, Yarlenis, she had another pizza, a cheese one. It was worse, if that was possible. I don't know how, but it was worse. Okay? And then the last one, okay, that said, so a sentence connector, concession or qualification. So the proposal is innovative. That said, even though I said this, funding is uncertain. The pizzeria was, the food was terrible, absolutely awful. That said, the staff were actually quite nice. Okay, you understand? Even though I said this information, it is true that they were actually good people. Okay, they were nice people. The app is free. That said, there are a lot of in-app purchases that you have to pay for. Okay, extras. Okay, it says in-app purchases. You have to buy these. Abound. There's many. Okay, abound means there's a lot. Okay, now. Because it took a while to go through this, I'm telling you, I really want you to generate examples. When I ask you to do these exercises, some of you will generate 5 or 3, generate at least 10. You're going to see more patterns, and if, again, you don't have understanding 100%, translate them. I have no problems with that. You need to be able to understand them before you can use them. Tomorrow you will use them. Okay, you will put them into context. Yes?
A small question.
Yep.
In this case, in-app purchase.
In-app purchases. This is a
Purchase.
noun. This is a noun.
I know. It's possible inside the app, purchase amount inside the app.
Inside the app, purchases about. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. Okay. This is used as an adjective. In-app purchases. Okay. So it's not a preposition here. This is in-app. If I said in-school regulations, that means the regulations in the school. Okay. So you just say in and then the place or whatever it is, and that's being used as an adjective to say the location.
With hyphen.
Yes, with a hyphen. Yeah. Okay, so tomorrow you will put these in context, and you will be creating an advertisement for Castle Forms. Okay, now you will be using marketing techniques that are creative.
Oh,
Okay, creative marketing. I don't want any of this rubbish. Okay, whereas come to Castle Forms, etc. You want to be creative and you want to use thinking outside the box. Okay, have a nice day. Have a nice day.